The image of the Prime Minister emerging from the basement of Rideau Cottage for his daily sermon from the Mount has become pure theatre. Boring nonetheless, but theatre. This week, he deviated from his normal hectoring Canadians about coronavirus and not answering questions from his preferred media to commenting on the rioting that occurred in Minneapolis. With no sense of irony, he said, quote, anti-black racism is real. It's in the United States, but it's also in Canada, end quote. What? More than once he used the term anti-black racism. He then said, quote, I call on all Canadians, whether it's anti-black racism or anti-Asian racism or racism discrimination of any type, to stand together in solidarity, to be there with each other and know just how deeply people are being affected by what we see on the news these past few days. Well, that's rich, coming from someone who has worn blackface at least 3 times in his adult life, at least one of which was a top-to-bottom makeup job complete with a banana in his pants. The virtue signaling coming from the Prime Minister is nauseating. From living in Rideau Cottage only emerging once a day to make an appearance in his driveway, to say not much of anything, to appearing once at Parliament Hill last week wearing a large black cloth mask. No one else in his security detail was wearing a mask, and frankly, he looked like an idiot. But that's not unusual. His whole self-quarantining in Rideau Cottage for now over 60 days has been nothing but virtue signaling writ large. Theoretically, he is trying to convince Canadians this is an appropriate response to health officials' advice about how to act during the current pandemic. This is in spite of the fact that Chief Medical Officer Dr. Theresa Tam has been flip-flopping all over the place since early February. This is not a serious problem, she started telling us. There's no need to wear a mask. Then in May she said a mask is recommended. Let's be realistic. Since the outset of this thing, the predictions and the computer modeling have all been wrong. The majority of cases have come in long-term care facilities, and those people almost universally have underlying health conditions that make them more susceptible, especially in a close contained indoor facility. People have had enough of staying home. Open up the economy now, and let's get back to normal. Enough is enough. And mostly, enough of the virtue signaling. For True North, I'm Leo Knight.